Film Riot, it's evolving slowly but surely, which was always the idea. So it started about a little over 5 years ago when I was not as far along as we are now, obviously. Much more DIY, much more just backyard filmmaking. And the idea is that this show would follow me throughout my attempt to, get to ultimately making legit feature films that would be going into theaters and have wide releases. And we're still along that path, maybe halfway through right now. But what's cool about that is if, people who want to be filmmakers go back from square one, they're kind of following me that in that progression and learning all the things that I learned along the way. And that's kind of our mission statement, come and learn with us. You can get out there and do this thing right now with just a couple of bucks. You can get creative and go crazy and start learning. So it's a little bit about all of that. We used to be an all Final Cut production house, and production house sounds bigger than it is. We're a very tight, small team that works very, very fast with very few people to get a lot done with very little. And Final Cut was great, but then a switch happened that just did not work for us. And that's when we jumped ship to Adobe. And then that was the first. And the second was with Adobe CC and us realizing how integrated everything really was and how we could leverage this to make the pipeline for us much more streamlined to where we could, maybe hopefully have a life on top of the work that we do as well. Since everything's going through so simply through like dynamic linking and things of that nature, it made everything so much quicker that we were able to get a lot more done. So, we didn't have that much extra free time, but what it did give us is extra time to increase our quality. So the times that we were saying, forget it, just render it, was happening less and less, which is huge because, YouTube it's slowly but surely, the projects on there are becoming more and more professional and you got to keep up with that. But our timelines don't usually, allow for that. So having this streamlined workflow really helped us up the quality of everything. Creative Cloud is great, as in it's walking into Toys R Us. You know what I mean? It's like just and you have a gift card for whatever you want in the whole store. So when I first got it and opened it up, just seeing all the software there that I could now have, it almost feels free. I know it's not, but it kind of does. It's like the Netflix idea. You know what I mean? You're watching all these movies for free, but it's not necessarily. But at the same time, I'm able to get software that I wouldn't have otherwise because I wouldn't have spent the money on it because I don't use it enough. But my artists, my graphic artists, or some of my VFX artists do use that software. So now they can just send me the files. I can get in there and shift things around and send it back to them, where otherwise it would have just been notes, which wouldn't quite as clearly put what I wanted. Now I can get in there and actually show them. So it's actually been extremely beneficial. I didn't used to use Story until CC, and then I tried it out and I really loved it. It's just the collaborative features are massive. That's how we did our last short film, Proximity. It was one of my first times really collaborating with somebody on a script in that facet. Like it was 50-50, writing it. And to be able to see him actually making notes and editing almost real time was really massive because we wrote and shot it in 10 days. So being able to work like that to where it was almost like we were in the same room, yet we're states away. I think for the new features, the one that I'm most excited about is the live text. It's just being able to edit things within Premiere without having to jump back to After Effects. It's just massive because we do have a few shows and we just use lower thirds constantly. So being able to just switch that out, not having to go into After Effects, render it out and pull it back in, because we'll render it out on alpha and bring it back in as to not have that extra dynamic linking so we can have some more real time within the timeline. But now to be able to just edit it right in there, copy paste, do another one. At the end of the week, it's really going to save us hours of time, which again, as I was saying before, is going to up all of our quality because we have more time to say, forget it, just render it less. We're working on a mini-series right now for Halloween, hopefully. We've got a few short films in the works, and we're probably this year going to start looking towards feature films finally.